welcome back to World of Skimmer podcast. We're into podcast 12 in the series now. A few more podcasts to go. Of course, people that have followed the podcast will realise it's about the Skimmer novel series and based on the characters in the series and their personality traits and what they get up to, the dynamics and relationships between them as the plot evolves through 6 books in the series. 3 are published. Skimmer Tic Tac book 4 is going to be published very shortly. So what I wanted to do today is to talk about 3 characters at once in the Sea Hunters. Now the Sea Hunters have a mandate to patrol the area and ensure security and compliance for deep sea mining operations for the subsurface mining skiffs that are leased or owned by contractors that bring nodules up from 4,000 metres below with mining drones and then deliver their load to the giant Chinese-owned mineral harvester placed out there in the area. So the Sea Hunters, they go around and they inspect these subsurface skimmers for compliance in terms of environmental monitoring and impact sampling, security as well. And there's 3 characters on the Skimmer Hunter vessel. So the Sea Hunter vessel, and the Sea Hunters have a main ship and 2 drone ships that accompany it around the ocean. Now the commanding officer's Max, the 2IC or XO's Alex, and we have a chief operations and boarding and inspection officer, and he's involved in security, called Cam. And they make up the core of the command team. So a lot of the activity on the Sea Hunter vessel is based around what they get up to. So Max, the commanding officer, I've portrayed him in terms of personality and characteristics as a large, burly man that always appears laid back. He seems to have a very relaxed demeanour, but behind that, I've portrayed him as being very calculating. So although he appears outwardly relaxed and will fold his arms, sit back, put his hands behind his head, he's always thinking in his head, and he's definitely not a yes man, and has a great deal of confidence in his team to I suppose step up and be able to say no or comment on what they think. And not think that they just have to agree with Max all the time. So he really encourages that. Now he's very good at anticipating the needs of his crew and the ships as they go around patrolling in the area and ensuring security and compliance. And that's especially important as the plot unfolds and chaos ensues in the area based around the protagonist Sue and her agenda as she takes over the mineral harvester ship, and that's beyond the inspection of the skimmers, because inspection of skimmers is standardised. The whole thing is standardised about going to a mining location, using a interceptor drone and breaching pod to board during mining operations 100 metres below and inspect the vessel for compliance. So that's all standardised. But Max, in terms of anticipation, he seems to know something about Project Cygnus, or at least he appears to, because in the book series as it progresses, we find out he has some sort of covert connection to Rick at the Academy, and Rick's agenda for Project Cygnus and the Skimmers and the rise of AI. Now, of course, originally the Sea Hunters, they were charged to try and get hold of Connor's technology for AI, the Red Queen and Seer of Gilgamesh that he was developing as under the direction of Rick and the people he reports to, and secure it and protect it from what was happening or unfolding in the area in terms of the Chinese and the protagonist Sue with her possible connection to the PLA Navy. Now they did pivot on that eventually and start to protect the Nara's crew and their skimmer by watching out for them and doing more of shepherding that skimmer of Nara's rather than trying to intervene and take the technology and protect it. So as this crisis ensues in the area around the harvester and Sue and the hive mind that's developing on there in terms of the Mimic drone program, the role of the sea hunters becomes increasingly important in terms of carrying out their mandate in the area and becoming involved in this covert agenda of RICS, which does become more overt out of necessity as the book series progresses due to the unfolding chaos and need to accelerate the Skimmer reverse engineering program for these overdrive trials of retrofitted UFO technology. So that becomes quite that comes to the fore, I suppose, through book 4 and 5 and into book 6. Alongside Max, we have Alex, the second in command. He's very much involved as the XO in the day-to-day vessel operations, that being his role. So he answers to Max and Max's directives or orders, which he then carries out. Now he's also very autonomous in terms of his own role, and just gets on with the job basically, and knows when to step up and when to step back or sit back if Max needs to do what he needs to do to both command the hunter unit and sort out this other agenda that's going on. So Alex has a fairly quiet personality too, not unlike Max. I wouldn't say that Alex is laid back though, but they do both epitomise servant leadership, which is what the military epitomises really with its senior officers or ranking officers in terms of creating an enabling environment for their subordinates to step up. Now, Max has quite a dry sense of humour, and Alex understands or plays to that. You might even say Max has a lack of humour, and what he thinks is funny isn't really funny at all. He's quite a serious man, but does try to be funny sometimes, much to Alex's amusement. So Alex gets caught up in this whole chaos around Sue and her agenda with the PLA Navy as well, and plays a supporting role in that for Max, the hunter unit, and for Cam as well. Now Cam's more the action man, being the chief sort of operations, boarding and security officer. So has more of an extroverted personality, and leads his teams through very, very tense situations. So he's got the standardised compliance and security monitoring regime that he has to carry out with his boarding teams for the interceptor drones, but he also runs the seaboat operations, the aerial drone patrol vessel operations as well from off the back of the vessel. So he's quite involved in all that, and he does take risks himself. Like, he wouldn't tell any team member to do something that he wouldn't attempt to do himself. And Cam does take some big risks. He gets involved in trying to secure the AI technology of Connor by sneaking around on the skimmer and gets caught but not identified. And gets involved in confrontations on the Harvester with Sue and the crew that are loyal to her. So he dodges a few bullets, you might say, when he gets caught up in all that, and ends up helping Nara's crew achieve what they want to achieve when, for example, Connor gets taken, or I should say willingly taken, because of his autism, to work in the lab on the Harvester. And so they try and get him back, or Nara's crew do, with the Sea Hunter's help, and Cam's quite involved in all that. So you've got these three characters playing this role on the Sea Hunter vessel and the Sea Hunter unit, which includes 2 drone vessels, and they run around the area and they get involved. They have to avoid big storms. They have to avoid this increasing spread of the Mimic drones as this virus takes hold and this hive mind develops on board the skimmer and starts to spread out amongst the grid, or the grid nodes, or buoys through the eel drones that or laser communication signaling the eel drones that are around, and they become assets of the Harvester and the hive mind and turned into or weaponized So Alex, Cam, and Max have to work together to overcome all that, and they do get sidetracked from meeting their mandate for monitoring, compliance, and security as the ensuing chaos develops, and we get a lot more open communication through Book 5 and 6 as we get a big team of people assembled at the crew monitoring centre, and the Sea Hunters become more openly involved through the liaison officer to the academy about the importance of the Sea Hunters being utilised beyond their mandate to try and manage this chaos that's erupted through this volatile protagonist Sue and her increasingly manic approach to thinking she's doing what's right for the Chinese CCP and the PLA Navy. She seems to be obsessed with recognition through the PLA Navy about her intentions and success, and with this mimic drone program that she covets that Ying Wei's developed because she sees its potential with the PLA Navy. Now she gets tied up in this hive mind developed on the Harvester through a skimmer they've captured that has a sphere of Gilgamesh in it, and she gets Connor in there to work on it with Ying Wei because she sees the ultimate agenda in terms of militarization of critical mineral access and mining as something they should be doing, which is the opposite of what the Academy wants for the Skimmers and the AI and Project Cygnus. So it culminates in Book 5 and 6 with the Sea Hunters being quite heavily involved in that whole situation as it unfolds through to the end of Book 5, and then in Book 6 we get this climax back in the area around the Harvester as essentially we've got these different organisations battling it out for supremacy and trying to dominate the whole critical mineral industry through AI or two different forms of AI, and centred around the Skimmers and the agenda for the Skimmers in the ultimate end game. So the Sea Hunters become quite crucial to that. You wouldn't think it in Book 1 and even Book 2, but as we progress it becomes more apparent just how important their role becomes. So I'll leave it at that for Max, Alex and Cam with the Sea Hunters, and we've got two podcasts to go. One I want to talk about Lee and his role on the Harvester, and then finish with Dr. Sign and Globe Corp Mining with him as the Chief Operations Officer. So we'll get to those. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. We've got two to go in the series, and I look forward to talking again soon about the remaining characters.